Friend, have you ever been sick? I'm not talking about a passing flu or a headache that goes away with a pill. I'm talking about that illness that arrives without warning, settles into your body like an invader, and simply decides to stay. The one that makes you wake up in the middle of the night, stare at the dark ceiling, and wonder, what's happening to me? I'm here today to tell my story. A story I wish I hadn't lived, but which, paradoxically, transformed me into the man I am today. A journey that began with pain, fear, and despair, but ended with a discovery so powerful that it completely changed my relationship with life, my body, and most importantly, with God. My name doesn't matter. I could be you, your neighbor, your coworker. I was an ordinary man with ordinary dreams, ordinary problems. I worked from 7 to 6, returning home tired but satisfied. I had my wife, my children, my Sunday plans. Life wasn't perfect, but it was mine, and I was happy with it until everything changed. It was a Tuesday. I remember it like it was yesterday. I woke up with a strange pain in my back. It wasn't the muscle ache you get after lifting weights. It was different, deep, like something inside me was wrong. But I'm a man, you know how it is. I ignored it. I took a painkiller and went to work. The pain returned on Wednesday, stronger. On Thursday, my left leg started tingling. By Friday, I could barely get out of bed. And that's when the fear set in. That silent fear that starts as a whisper in the back of your mind. What if it's something serious? But let me tell you this whole story from the beginning, because I need you to understand every detail, every moment, every tear, because in the end, my friend, you will understand a truth that could save your life. You are not your body. You are much more than that. The doctor's office had that distinctive smell, alcohol, disinfectant, and something else I couldn't identify. Fear, perhaps. Fear accumulated from thousands of patients who had passed through there. The doctor was a serious man with thick glasses. He stared at the scans on the computer screen for far too long. Too long. And when he finally turned to me, I already knew the news wasn't good. It's a degenerative autoimmune disease, he said, in that voice doctors learn in college. Professional, distant. Your immune system is attacking your nerve cells. Over time, you'll progressively lose motor control. First your legs, then your arms, eventually. He kept talking, but I couldn't hear him anymore. My mind had simply shut down. It was like being underwater, watching people talk but unable to hear the words. "There is no cure," were the last words I managed to register before leaving that office. I don't remember how I got home. I don't remember if I drove or took a taxi. I know that when I opened the door and saw my wife, Anna, with that smile on her face asking, "So, honey, what did the doctor say?" I simply broke down. Right there, in the hallway, I fell to my knees and cried like I hadn't cried since I was a child. The following weeks were a blur of doctors, tests, second and third opinions. Everyone said the same thing in different words. Apu, incurable, progressive, degenerative, and my body started to betray me. Friend, you have no idea what it's like to wake up one day and your body simply won't obey you anymore. You tell your foot to move, and it hesitates, like a rebellious employee who decides it won't follow orders anymore. You reach for a cup of coffee, and your hand shakes so badly that the hot liquid spills down your leg. I was an active man. I played soccer on Sundays with friends. I carried my 4-year-old son on my back. I hugged my wife and lifted her off the ground just to see her smile. And suddenly, within months, I was using a cane. The pain was my constant companion. It woke up with me, had coffee with me, went to work with me. It was a pain that had no exact location. Sometimes it was in my legs, sometimes in my back, sometimes a burning sensation that ran through my entire body like liquid fire coursing through my veins. But you know what was worse than the physical pain? It was seeing the looks on people's faces, the look of pity, the look of discomfort, the look that said, "Thank goodness it's not me." My coworkers started treating me differently, not out of malice, but because they didn't know how to act. Conversations became shorter, more uncomfortable. Sunday football games became just a memory. And my son, my little Joam, He was only 4 years old, but he could already tell his father wasn't the same anymore. "Daddy, are you hurt?" he asked once, with those big, innocent eyes. "I am, son, but I'll get better," I lied. Because at that moment, I didn't believe I would get better. I was convinced I was slowly dying. 6 months after my diagnosis, I could no longer work. The pain was too intense. The fatigue was overwhelming. I had to take time off work. And then began the worst phase of all, isolation. When you work, you have a routine, a purpose, and human interaction. When that's gone, you're left alone with your thoughts. And my thoughts, my friend, were my worst enemies. I spent my days lying on the couch, staring at the ceiling, feeling the waves of pain run through my body. Anna tried to cheer me up. But how do you cheer up someone who's convinced they're going to die? She brought me lunch, put on my favorite movies, sat next to me, and held my hand. But I was far away. Mentally, emotionally, I had already withdrawn from everything and everyone. I was in a dark hole, and with each passing day, that hole grew deeper. I started having frightening thoughts. Thoughts about ending it all before it got worse. Before I became a complete burden to my family. Before I completely lost my dignity. That's when I hit rock bottom. It was a rainy Thursday. I was home alone. Anna had dropped João off at school and gone to work. I was in the bathroom, staring into the mirror, and I didn't recognize the man staring back at me. Dark circles under his eyes. He'd had a beard for days. His eyes were dull, a ghost inhabiting a body that no longer functioned. And it was there, in that moment of total darkness, that something happened. I can't quite explain it, but it was as if a voice inside me, a voice that wasn't mine but was also mine, whispered, "You are not this. You are not this body. You are so much more." I fell to my knees right there, on the cold bathroom floor, and for the first time in months, I didn't cry out of despair. I cried out of relief, hope. I didn't know, but something had changed. Friend, I need to tell you about what happened in the following days, because that's what changed everything. That's what saved me. That night, after the bathroom episode, I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, listening to Anna's soft breathing beside me, and thinking about that voice. "You are not this body." It was such a simple idea, yet so revolutionary. All my life, I had identified with my body. I was that 6-foot-tall, brown-haired man who played soccer and carried heavy boxes. When my body started failing, I felt like I was the one failing. But what if I wasn't? What if I was something much bigger, much deeper than this collection of cells and nerves? The next day, I asked Anna to fetch the Bible that had been stored on the shelf for years. She looked at me in surprise, but brought it without asking. I began to read, not methodically, but letting the book open wherever it would. And it fell into Romans 12:2. "And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." Renewal of understanding. That had been hammering away at me all day. I had to renew my understanding. I had to stop seeing myself as a sick body and start seeing myself as what exactly? I spent the next few days reading everything I could about spirituality, mind and body, and faith. And I discovered things that completely changed my perspective. I've discovered that across various spiritual traditions, across different religions and philosophies, this same idea exists. We are not our bodies. The body is merely a vehicle, a temporary instrument our soul uses to experience this physical world. And that made so much sense. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how you can observe your own thoughts? How can you say, "I'm thinking about this"? If you can observe your thoughts, then you are not your thoughts. You are the one observing. Likewise, if you can feel your body, perceive its pains and sensations, then you are not your body. You are the one who perceives the body. But then, who am I? I am the consciousness inhabiting this body. I am a spiritual, eternal, divine being having a temporary experience in a physical body. And this body, with all its limitations and pains, is merely my instrument on this journey. Friend, when that understanding really entered my heart, not just my head, everything changed. I started looking at myself in the mirror differently. It was no longer, I'm sick. It was, my body is sick, but my essence, my soul, is perfectly healthy and whole. But understanding this intellectually wasn't enough. I needed to live it, practice it, and that's when I began a journey that would transform me completely. First thing I did, I started waking up an hour earlier every day. Before sunrise, when the house was still quiet, I'd drag myself into the living room. Yes, I still needed my cane, and sit in the armchair, and I prayed. These weren't memorized or formal prayers. It was an honest conversation with God. I talked about my pain, my fears, my anger, but most of all, I was grateful. I was grateful for being alive, for having a family who loved me, for having eyes that saw the sunrise, for having ears that heard the birdsong. At first, it was difficult to find things to be grateful for. My mind wanted to focus on pain, illness, and limitations, but I forced myself to do so. I fought my own negative thoughts and sought out things to be grateful for every day. And you know what happened? The more I gave thanks, the more things I found to be grateful for. It was as if my focus was shifting from the channel of illness to the channel of life. After prayer, I would meditate. At first, I didn't even know how to meditate properly. I'd sit there, close my eyes, and my mind would be a whirlwind of chaotic thoughts. But I persisted. Day by day, it became a little easier to quiet my mind, and in those moments of silence, I would mentally repeat, I am a divine and eternal being. This body is only my instrument. I trust in the power of God that dwells within me. I see myself healthy. I see myself complete. I see myself whole. At first, they were just words, but over time, they began to sink in deeper, to become truth in my heart. But don't think it was easy, friend. It wasn't. There were days when I would wake up and the pain would be so intense that I wanted to give up on everything. The old voice in my head would come back. Who do you think you're kidding? You're sick. Stop pretending. And there was one specific day that I almost gave up. It was a Saturday. Jerome had a soccer game at school. He begged me to go watch. Anna said we could drive, that I wouldn't have to walk far. I agreed. When I got there, seeing all those kids running, jumping, full of energy and life, while I could barely stand, it was devastating. And when Jerome scored a goal and came running to hug me, I couldn't hug him properly. My arms were numb, weak. On the way home, I cried. I cried with anger, frustration, and pain. Anna drove in silence, just holding my hand. When I got home, I wanted to give up on all that spiritual practice, all that talk of, I am not my body. It was just an illusion, cheap positive thinking, I told myself. But Anna, my dear wife who was always wiser than me, sat beside me and said something I will never forget. Honey, do you think faith is about never feeling pain? It's not. Faith is about feeling the pain and choosing to believe anyway. It's about falling and getting up. It's about crying and still being thankful. You don't have to pretend everything's okay. But you don't have to give up either. Those words, friend, those words saved me that day. From then on, I began to understand better. It wasn't about denying the pain or pretending it didn't exist. It was about not identifying with it. The pain was in my body, but it wasn't who I was. I started practicing something that changed everything. When pain came, instead of fighting it or wallowing in it, I observed it, as if I were a scientist studying an interesting phenomenon. Look, the pain is in my knee today. It's a burning sensation. Intensity 7 out of 10. Interesting. And then I would take a deep breath and say to myself, but I am not this pain. I am the consciousness that perceives this pain. And this consciousness is eternal, healthy, whole. Sounds silly? Maybe. But it worked. I also began to obsessively monitor my thoughts. Every time I caught my mind saying, I'm sick, I can't do it, I'll never get better, I'd stop and reframe it. My body is going through a challenge. I'm learning a new way to do this. I'm in the process of healing. Words have power, friend, more power than we imagine. And I started feeding myself positive content. I stopped watching the news, which is 99% negative. I stopped talking to people who only complained. I started reading inspirational books, listening to music that lifted my spirits, watching videos of people who had overcome challenges even greater than mine. I changed my diet too, not because anyone told me to, but because I started respecting my body as the sacred temple it was. I started eating real food, not processed foods. I started drinking more water, little things that showed my body I cared. But above all, my friend, above all the techniques and practices, what really transformed me was developing an unshakable trust in God. I'm not talking about organized religion or dogma. I'm talking about a deep, visceral faith that there is a divine intelligence that created the entire universe, that makes the sun rise every day, that makes your heart beat without you thinking about it, that heals cuts automatically, that orchestrates trillions of chemical reactions in your body every second. And if this intelligence can do all this, it can heal my body too. But I had to surrender control. I had to stop trying to manipulate God with my prayers. You know those prayers like, God, if you heal me, I promise I'll be better. I'll do this and that. Spiritual bargaining. That's not faith. It's fear disguised as faith. True faith is saying, God, I trust in you. Your will be done. If this illness is part of my path of evolution, I accept it. But I will do my part. I will take care of this body you gave me. I will keep my mind positive. I will live each day with gratitude. And the result, I place in your hands. When I finally managed to make this surrender, a peace I had never felt before invaded my heart. It wasn't the peace of knowing I would be healed. It was the peace of knowing that, healed or not, I was okay. My essence was intact. My soul was healthy. And whatever happened to this body, I was okay. 3 months after beginning this inner journey, something incredible began to happen. I woke up one morning and noticed the pain in my left knee had lessened. Not much, but it was a little less intense. I thought I was imagining things, but the next day, it was still a little better. A week later, I managed to hold a cup of coffee without shaking. Anna saw it, and her eyes filled with tears. "You're getting better," she whispered. But I was afraid to believe it, afraid of deluding myself. After all, the doctors had been categorical. The disease was degenerative, progressive, and incurable. But the signs kept appearing. 15 days later, I was able to shower without help, something I hadn't done in months. A month later, the cane was leaning against the wall in the corner of my room, unused for a week. I went back to the doctor for more tests. He examined me with that look of professional skepticism. He ordered all the tests again, MRI, blood work, everything. A week later, I went to get the results. The doctor entered the room with an expression I couldn't read. He sat down, adjusted his glasses, stared at the scans on the computer for a long moment, and then looked at me. "I don't know how to explain it," he said slowly, "but the disease progression has stopped. More than that, some inflammatory markers have significantly decreased. His motor function has improved. By medical standards, this shouldn't be happening." I didn't say anything. I just smiled. "What did you do?" he asked, genuinely curious. I changed my relationship with my illness," I replied. "And most importantly, I changed my relationship with myself." He didn't understand, of course. He wrote something down on the chart and told me to keep doing whatever I was doing. Friend, I'm not going to tell you I've been completely cured. That would be dishonest. The disease is still there. I still have bad days. I still have pain. I still have limitations. But you know what the difference is? That doesn't define me anymore. There are days when I wake up and my leg is numb. And you know what I do? I'm grateful. I'm grateful because I have another leg that works. I'm grateful because even though it's numb, that leg still supports me. I'm grateful because the numbness reminds me that I'm alive, that I can feel, that I'm here. I went back to work, not in the same job, but in something I could do my own way, at my own pace. And I discovered that when you work with purpose, when you work from a place of gratitude rather than obligation, everything changes. I started playing soccer with João again. Not the way I used to, but my way. Sometimes I'm the goalkeeper. Sometimes I just stand there and he kicks the ball at me. But we're together, we're laughing, and that's what matters. My relationship with Anna has deepened in ways I never imagined possible. She saw my worst self and stayed. She held me when I fell apart. And now, she reaps the fruits of this transformation with me. Our love is no longer that superficial love, based on attraction and convenience. It's a love forged in the fire of suffering, tempered with tears, solidified with faith. You know what I learned from all this? Friend, I've learned that illness can be a harsh teacher, but it is a teacher nonetheless. It has taught me things about myself that I never would have learned otherwise. She taught me humility. I learned that I don't have control over everything, that life is fragile, that the body is temporary, and that this isn't something to fear, but to respect. She taught me gratitude. I learned to cherish every pain-free moment, every movement I can make, every breath, every sunrise. Things I once considered trivial became sacred. She taught me about true identity. I learned that I am not my body, not my thoughts, not my circumstances. I am a divine spark, eternal, indestructible, living a temporary human experience. She taught me about the power of the mind. I learned that my thoughts create my reality, that I can choose how I react to any situation, that I can be at peace even in the midst of chaos. And most importantly, she taught me about faith. True faith isn't the absence of doubt. It's the choice to believe despite doubt. It's the courage to trust when all seems lost. It's the strength to get up after falling 1,000 times. Today, I see my body completely differently. It's not my enemy. It's not a traitor. It's my partner on this journey. It's the sacred vehicle my soul chose to experience this physical world. And like any vehicle, it needs care, maintenance, and love. But I'm not the car. My friend, I'm the driver. When your car has a problem, you don't panic, thinking you are the problem. You take the car to the mechanic. You take care of it. You do what you can. But you know that, in the end, you can get out of the car and still be you. This is how I see my body now. Is it experiencing challenges? Yes. But I am fine. My essence, my soul, my consciousness. It is pristine, perfect, complete. And this understanding gave me a freedom I had never experienced before. Freedom from fear, freedom from identification, freedom to simply be. There is a phrase that changed my life. To believe yourself healthy, even in times of illness, is to demonstrate complete trust in God. At first, I thought this was absurd. How could I consider myself healthy when my body was clearly sick? Wasn't that a lie? Self-deception? But then I understood. It's not about denying physical reality. It's about recognizing a deeper reality. My body may be sick, but I, the consciousness inhabiting this body, am perfectly healthy. My soul is without disease. My spirit is without pain. My divine essence is whole, complete, and perfect. And when I begin to identify with this deeper truth, rather than with the temporary circumstances of the body, everything changes. It's not superficial positive thinking. It's recognition of spiritual truth. And you know what's miraculous? When you start seeing yourself this way, your body often responds. Not always, not magically, but there's a deep connection between mind, body, and spirit that science is only beginning to understand. Friend, I don't know what pain you're feeling today. I don't know what illness is visiting you. I don't know what battles you're fighting in the silence of your soul. But I know one thing. You are so much more than your body, so much more than your circumstances, so much more than your diagnosis. You are a divine and eternal being having a temporary human experience. And this experience, however painful, cannot touch your essence. Pain will come. Illness may arrive. The body will fail. But you, the real you, is untouchable, indestructible, eternal. And when you understand this, not just intellectually but deep in your heart, a transformation takes place, not necessarily in your body, although that can happen too, but mainly in your soul. You stop being a victim and become an observer. You stop being at its mercy and take control of your inner narrative. You stop identifying with the pain and begin to transcend it. So I invite you today, Look after yourself with health. No matter what the doctors say, no matter what the tests show, no matter what your body is feeling, look beyond the physical. Look into your spiritual essence and recognize the truth. You are complete. You are whole. You are healthy at your deepest core. This doesn't mean ignoring medical treatment. Do what you need to do physically. Take your medications. Go to appointments. Treat your body with love and respect. But don't let illness define you. Don't let fear rule your mind. Don't let pain steal your peace. Raise your understanding. Raise your consciousness. Recognize your divinity. Overcome prostration and discouragement with a positive mental attitude. Don't pretend everything is fine, but choose to focus on what is good, true, and eternal. Trust in the power of God that dwells within you. Not a distant God in the sky, but the divine presence that is in every cell of your body, in every breath, in every beat of your heart. Before I finish, I want to leave you with a few questions to reflect on. You don't have to answer me. Answer them for yourself, from the honesty of your heart. First question: have you been identifying with your body and its limitations? Or have you been able to see yourself as the eternal consciousness that inhabits this temporary body? Second question: when pain or illness strikes, what is your first reaction? Is it despair and identification, or is it observation and conscious acceptance? Third question: are your thoughts about yourself healthy and confident, or sick and fearful? Remember, your words and thoughts have creative power over your reality. Fourth question: have you been cultivating gratitude even in the midst of hardship? Can you find at least 3 things to be grateful for today, right now, in this moment? Fifth question: is your faith in God conditional, based on bargaining, or unconditional, based on complete trust? Can you say, "Thy will be done," and truly feel peace about it? Sixth question: if you knew you only had 6 months to live, how would you live differently? And why not live like this now? Seventh question, the most important: are you ready to look healthy no matter what your body is going through? Reflect on these questions. Write your answers in a journal if you wish. Talk to God about them. Let them work in your heart. A gift for you, friend. I know this journey isn't easy. I know because I've lived it. And that's why my team and I have prepared something special for you. In the pinned comments of this video, you will find a free ebook that I prepared with great care. In it, I delve even deeper into the concepts I've shared here. It features practical exercises, guided meditations, powerful prayers, and a 30-day plan to transform your relationship with health and illness. This ebook is the result of years of study, practice, trial and error, falling and getting back up. It's everything I wish I had when I started this journey. It's completely free. There's no catch, no hidden sale. It's my gift to you, heart to heart, from someone who has walked through the dark valley and found the light, to someone who may be walking through that valley right now. So please, go to the pinned comments, click on the link and download your ebook. Read calmly. Practice the exercises. Give the truths time to penetrate your heart. And if this content helped you in any way, share this video. You don't know who in your contact list is suffering in silence. Who needs to hear this exact message today? You may be God's instrument to bring hope to someone. Leave a comment too. Tell your story. Share your pain, your victory, your journey. This is a safe space. We are a community of people who understand, who support, who walk together. And subscribe to the channel and activate the bell, because every week I bring you content about faith, overcoming, and spiritual growth. I want to continue walking with you on this journey. Final words. Friend, I will end with the same words I began with. Have you become ill? Your body no longer obeys you and pain visits you. Don't think, however, about decadence. Raise your understanding. You are a divine and eternal being. Trust in the power of God. Overcome prostration and discouragement with positive mental attitudes. Understand, the body is just your instrument. You are so much more. To consider yourself healthy, even in times of illness, is to demonstrate complete trust in God. These words aren't just pretty. They're a profound truth that can save your life. It saved mine. Today, As I record this video, I look back and see the man I was 2 years ago, that desperate, hopeless man, convinced that I was ending. And I look at who I am today, still with physical limitations, yes, still with challenges, yes, but completely transformed within, with a peace that surpasses all understanding, with unshakable faith, with a deep understanding of who I truly am. And if I could do it, you can too. The journey doesn't end here. In fact, it's just beginning. Each day is a new opportunity to choose faith over fear, gratitude over complaint, spiritual identity over physical identification. Look after yourself, my friend. Not tomorrow, not when the body gets better, not when the tests come back clear. Now, today, at this moment, because you are already healthy in your deepest essence. You are already complete. You are already divine. Just recognize this truth and live from it. May God bless you abundantly. May divine light illuminate your path. May the peace that surpasses all understanding guard your heart and mind. And remember, you are not alone on this journey. God is with you. I am with you in spirit, and this entire community is with you. Go to the pinned comments now and download your free ebook. It's my gift to you. Until the next video, God bless you, and never, ever forget, you are much more than your body. You are a divine and eternal being. A big hug, friend. See you soon.